So this is the clan: Jax, Shelby, Zaylor. These are the mutts keeping guard on my 14 and things around the property. So anyway, start the day off today again, trying to figure out this 540. So this is the initial phase of the deconstruction for reconstruction of my 540 stroker, based on a marine block that I had bought a pair of, actually sold one to a fella at Lake Havasu, and I kept this one for this build, which is a 540 based on the 460 that's going to go into my 70 Torino. But for today, I have got to get the glue from this red duct tape that has been on here for some time now. And so I've been using the heat gun a little bit, not too much with the aluminum heads and all, but I'm going to have to get brass scrub brush and some cleaner to get this goop off the heads, so I can just start doing my mock-up with the intake and some of the other components, the multi-piece headers to go on the Torino, which has a 351 Cleveland in it at present, to get this bugger stuffed in there. Next, following that, I've got a transmission back here as well. So that is the results of actually just using a white cotton cloth and some carb and a choke cleaner, parts cleaner, and rubbing all that glue off. So that actually worked out pretty well. Got that side to do now, and I'm sure some of you astute folks see that, yep, these heads are the Super Cobra Jet aluminum heads. Let's see, the intake runners are fairly large, and the exhaust side is, pretty good on the exhaust. I do have to port match that intake to those runners, but that'll come before too long. And if you see around the shop, it is kind of messy in here because I've got like multiple things going on, and sometimes it's just hard to keep up with stuff. I usually like keeping a tidy house, but at times it does get a little bit messy, and then sometimes I take a day just to get things tidied up again to mess them right back up. So anyway, the 540 will be living before too long, but a lot of work to do to get the Torino running with its new running gear and suspension and power plant and all that good crap. But anyway, at some point in time I'll give a rundown of all the parts and internals and specs on various things. But for now, I'm not much of a YouTuber and videoer, but I thought I'd just capture this for selfish purposes, actually. So that's that for this moment. There, much better. So I got that side, got this bank done, so I can go ahead and just mock in the intake and see how that looks on there. It is an Edelbrock Torker, I believe is what it is. I had a high Edelbrock RPM, but the guy who did the machining on this said it would probably be a better choice to go with the Torker. And so that's what I've done. And to keep this kind of an old school build, it's solid rollers and carbureted. So Dominator, that's what's gonna go on there. What's inside that box, I am gonna use an electric fuel pump. That's Moroso, and it's in that box. So I'm just kind of doing a quick mock-up with stuff. I'm not sure about the valve covers. I need to deal with what's the clearance in the car and what's the clearance over these. I may just have to like buy a cheap set, or even see if the valve covers that were on the OE heads that were on this marine block, if those valve covers would fit up over these lifters. I'm not sure if they will or not, but just for mock-up purposes, find that out. So I'm not sure though what valve covers I'm gonna run, but like something, you know, kind of nice, not too flashy, but nice. And continue on with this. I hope it winds up to be impressive. We'll find out at some point in time if I don't run out of steam beforehand. There's the part number on these heads. They are the Super Cobra Jet heads. Carbureted, solid rollers, distributor. No coil packs, none of that. I'll maybe sometime show you my 14 Shelby, my GT500. That's my modern ride that scoots along pretty well. Contrast to the 68 that's violent in there. So anyway, maybe this will be kind of somewhere in between those two. Thanks. There's a few other little accessories on the Curry. I do have a complete suspension as well. Partially installed on the Torino, which is from Mayor Racing, and I'll continue to mock up this build and with the motor, because I've let it go for a little while now and just trying to get back at it. But we'll go out here and see the Torino. It's a one of one actually, which I had done, you know, through the VIN lookup. Came back as a one of one. So, you know, over there. Exterior's pretty rough. It's running. It's running 351C. Gizmos right here is a 68. This thing's violent. It's got a 351 and 5-speed, but it's real low-B, and it's this thing is violent. But anyway, so that's what all these other parts are looking to go into. I just like it because it's unique. It's big, so you can, you know, stuff a couple people in it and not be too crowded. And I'm gonna make it low and fat, kind of like a Trans Am style, and go from there. Thanks. Here's a quick shot of the 351 that's in my 68. It's quite a bit of room in here actually. It's a little dusty right now. Haven't had it out for quite some time, but this thing is violent, that's for sure. And this thing's got a huge cam, 373s, 5-speed Richmond. This thing likes to rock, that's for sure. 68 coupe. So this is the Curry for the Torino. There's also some leafs here that are from Air Enterprises for the suspension, but this is a new style big bearing Curry True Track 350 gears. You can kind of see the build on it here. 1350 yoke for the bearings. I wanted big stuff. That kind of gives the details of the Curry Willwood discs. So that'll be a nice little package for the back of the Torino. If I ever get beyond this frickin' engine, these headers and bullshit, but that's the way it is. Spring perch is already welded on there, and so looking forward to getting this up underneath that thing with the suspension and all. But that is the rear end and the leaves as well for the 70 Torino. So that's the C6 from Broader Performance. I had it done with a short tail shaft on it, which is applicable for doing the swap, big block swap. It's got a trans brake. It's rated up to like 1,000 horsepower, so it should do the trick behind this motor. I'm not going to be hitting 1,000 horse on the motor at best with the build, unless I do something to it. It's going to be 750 at that, so plenty of room. This transmission should have no issues supporting that. Torque converter, it comes in at a fairly lower RPM, and that's because for the street I didn't want to have to be coming off of the stoplights and crap, snapping my head all the time. So I figured with the trans brake I could afford having a bit of a lower stall speed than than something that's crazy up in the RPMs, just to maintain the streetability. Hopefully that'll be going in and fitting before too long. I did get a new cross member that'll have to go up and in the car, and I did 1350 U-joints for the rear end on the Curry that's over there, but I'll have to get the drive shaft made up as well then to fit between this and the Curry, but I'll do that, get that measured out once these things go in place, get the final things situated in there. So C6, 1,000 horsepower, trans brake valve body, torque converter, and for the suspension from Mare Racing, see I got a rear Panhard bar kit, the leaf springs, Bilstein, shocks, adjustable rear sway bar, lower control arms, upper control arms, front sway bar. Got quite a bit from Mare Racing. So that's the suspension end of it. The Broader Performance transmission, Mare Racing suspension, Curry rear end, this 460 or the 540. It should be a fairly quality ride. I like that 70 Torino, so we'll continue on with the build, see how it goes. Thanks much.